minutes. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 408 of Picks and Ponies right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your very proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we are going to discuss a big day on Saturday. It's the second jewel of the Triple Crown, the 150th running of the Preakness Stakes. We're going to talk about the Preakness and the fantastic All Stakes late pick 5 that ends on the Preakness at Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, notification bell on the top right, and smash that like button below the video player. We would greatly appreciate it. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. And let me just say, our listens are way, way up. We really do appreciate everyone joining our listening platform. However, this is very much a visual show, so if you are listening to this right now, we highly recommend you do watch our shows on YouTube, either in addition to or instead of the listening platforms, because we show race replays and a lot of analysis that you really want to see visually. So we recommend you watch on YouTube. Of course, live would be great, but I know that doesn't work in everyone's schedule. We, of course, do appreciate, though, listening to us on our listening platforms as well. We've got a great tip sheet. And if you're not familiar with it, because we have a lot of new people watching and listening, look below the video player on YouTube. It comes out on Saturdays. Every Saturday you can buy it either on a monthly basis or a yearly basis. It's only about $21 for the entire month. We're talking about, around $5 a pop. I mean, it's a great deal. The ROI is well over $2. It's been that way for 4.5 years now. Check out our Power Picks tip sheet. Look below the video player if you are not familiar with that, or you can go to our website right there, hhhracingpodcast.com, and there's information. Just go to Power Picks tip sheet at the top and click on standard Power Picks tip sheet. You can find out all about it. I also want to mention, actually, let me bring on my co-hosts first, because I want them to be a part of this quick announcement that some people might not realize happened on a Thursday evening here as we tape live. So let me first bring on my trusty co-host. The gang's all back together again. We've all been trading off on different little responsibilities and haven't been together for a week or two, I believe, but the three of us are back. So let's bring on first from the East Coast of Maryland, not too far from Laurel Racecourse, and of course not really that far from Pimlico, Mr. Pete Visco, and from the Saratoga Special and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and still alive in the NBA playoffs, fan of the Boston Celtics, Mr. Paul Halloran. Gentlemen, here we go. Middle jewel of the Triple Crown. Very interesting race. How are we doing tonight?
Pretty good. What's up, Paul? Long time no see. Since
Hey, Pete.
weeks, maybe? Yeah, right. 2 weeks. Both you guys.
Guys, we have a very proud sponsor of this podcast, and there's information. It's Adelphi Racing Club. You can get in touch with Matt Cutere at adelphiracing.com. Fantastic people. If you're interested in horse racing ownership at an affordable price, please look into Adelphi Racing. And one of the main reasons I want to bring that up, guys, other than the fact, of course, they are a very proud sponsor, is tonight something special happened at Evangeline Downs. That's right. My very first horse that I bought ever in horse racing was with Adelphi Racing Club. And it was this horse I'm going to bring on right now. Magistrate finally breaks his maiden tonight, guys. He had to go to Evangeline at a maiden 20 to do it. But look at the price. He was 1-5. And guys, he won by like an inch with a very troubled trip. He's a 5-year-old. His best race actually was his debut 2 years ago when he had like a 76 buyer, guys, in a main special weight at Laurel, Pete, actually, interesting enough. We really thought highly of him, but he's had some minor issues, a lot of bad luck, and it's taken a long time. But congratulations to anyone out there and my fellow partners who cashed with Magistrate, finally break his main as a 5-year-old, guys. And I almost always do bet my horses that I own for fun. I couldn't do it at 1 to 5,
2 to
guys.
win?
Plus,
You didn't put 2
he's
to win just for
I did
funsies?
not. He's not real trustworthy, but I was happy to get the W, Paul. As you know, you own horses. I mean, Pete, you've owned horses well through my racehorse, and well, you're happy anytime you can get a win, especially this one. Who I think it was 0 for 8 or 9 coming in, guys. So a win's a win, right? We'll take it.
Well, Howard, I had one run in the last race at Charlestown at 11 o'clock last Friday night and did not win. So I,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
No.
hey, well, no, it's, I think we're moving on. So don't be sorry.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Well,
so,
we had shards go on Derby Day that we all have a piece of, and
yes,
that was not as successful. That was some money down the drain on that one, but I still like that horse. I think he's got some. I think he still has some good stakes wins in him down the road.
I think so. We got a lot of people in the chat. Let's see who we have here in the chat. We got Tom Espinoza is here. What's up, Tom? Terry Frank back from knee replacement. Terry, hope you're feeling better and hope that knee is feeling good. I'm sure you can strike the golf ball 300 yards and maybe hit that forehand better or whatever you play or like to do with a improved knee. Katie said prayers to Terry. Thank you very much. Jim is in Florida. Jim Pilares from Port Charlotte. A little warmer there than Buffalo, most likely. What's up, Jim? Horsey Dave wants us to find some winners in Baltimore. We will do our best for sure. Again, a lot of people in the chat. Cool Kev 75 is here. How is the Pimlico crab? LOL. Are you a crab guy, Pete? You're in Maryland.
Nope, I am not a crab guy at all. So
okay,
I have no recommendations. My wife likes crab cakes, but never. I don't assume she's ever had them at Pimlico. I assume most of her Pimlico experiences involve a lot of Miller Lights and not as much crab.
Interestingly enough, there's a horse running Saturday called Crabs and Beer, I believe. And
ran second last year in the same race, I think.
I
had
did.
a big number.
Won't do that. Won't do that Saturday based on the PPs I saw.
No.
Jackson Muniz, who hopefully his mic is working well, even though he's on the chat. He doesn't need the mic. He had a few issues with Pacific Horse players, but co-host of Pacific Horse Players does a great job. I like both Fridays and Saturdays Pimlico cards way more than I expected to. Fantastic betting opportunities. You know, Paul, I always find these undercard races at Pimlico are actually pretty good and big fields because you get some good horses, but also some like secondary ones that are not quite grade 1 level for Churchill. But there's a lot of really good horses out there, and they pick Pimlico often to find that spot.
Yeah, I typically like the cards both days. I agree.
Yep.
I haven't really got too far into the Friday card. I have to do that at some point since it's tomorrow. But it's been a long week. But yeah, I agree. I think it's the only problem is, and God, Pete, you're gonna have to. I apologize in advance, Pete. But are they off the turf already tomorrow, Howard?
Yes, they are.
Oh boy!
Yes,
which is funny because it's absolutely gorgeous out right now. But
yeah, it's
that's
rained all week though, right, Pete? Till this morning.
It did. Yeah, I mean it was on and off. Nothing crazy. You know me. I'm an anti off the turf kind of person.
Oh, stop with the weather talk. You guys are always talking about the weather. All right, anyway, we got to talk about it.
They don't have to save They don't have to save the turf course.
Yeah, what the hell are they saving it for? Just
after Sunday, the place is going to be blown up.
Yep. Renegade 17, we haven't seen him in the chat or her. Made it excited to hear the thoughts tonight. Thanks, Renegade. Last thing I want to say,
it's
guys.
Renegade, if that spelling is correct.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That might be a Renee, or
it could be Renegade. Excuse
me.
Well, that could go either way, guys.
It could go either way.
Sure.
Yes.
Right. Important. If you want to contribute to the show, of course, the best thing you can do is hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We greatly appreciate it. But there is below the video player if you'd like to donate some money or do something a little special. There's a $ below on YouTube. The chat, you can send a super chat and send 5 cents, $5, whatever you want to do. You can do that as well. And then, of course, subscribe to our Power Pick tip sheet. All of that money goes to help pay for our expenses for the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, let's get into the late pick 5 Saturday. The weather is going to be fine, small chance of thunderstorms, but I think it's going to be okay. It's going to be drying out. The turf is definitely going to be on the softer side. I'm going to guess they're going to list it good just because tracks don't like to list soft for some damn reason. I don't know why. There's going to be some give in the ground. I'm hoping that the main track is going to be fast, guys, but we'll wait and see what happens. Let me go ahead and take the banners off the screen, guys. Let's just jump. Excuse me. Let's jump into it right now. All right, here we go. The first race on Saturday of the late pick 5 all stakes that ends in the Preakness, we're talking races 9 through 13, is the Jim McKay Turf Sprint, named after a fantastic broadcaster, Jim McKay, who, if you are a certain age, you're familiar with him. God rest his soul. $125,000 is the purse. 5 furlongs on the turf. It's a field of 9. Morning line favorite is the very fast Florida horse Coppola. Romans and Rispoli 2-1. You see our picks on the bottom of the screen. I'm going 2-6-4. Paul's going 9-2-4, and Pete is going 6-2-4. A lot of 2s and 4s with some 6s mixed in. Paul, let's go to you first. You're going to go with the PA bred. 4 Harp for Butch Reed. I know this is a trainer you know very well, actually, personally. Maybe you have some intel here. 5-1. He's already a 7-year-old for Adorno. Comfy outside post, or is it comfy? Because going 5 furlongs on that turf course is a relatively short run into that turn. What do you like about 4 Harp on Saturday, Paul?
Well, full disclosure, Howard, I always take a second look at. I just wrote 1,000 words about this breeding the other day.
Oh.
This breeding, Wigelia and Catarika Disco, has occurred about 10 times. The dams sent to the same stallion. Every one of the foals is one. But anyway, I digress. I think, but I didn't know the horse was running when I talked to Butch on Monday. That's when did I talk to him? Anyway, I think this horse is pretty fast though, and I think that both Coppola, both last 2 races on an off, a turf with some give in it. Granted, they were both grade 2s, but I thought he really dropped anchor. I think he definitely wants it firm. I'm not so sure about 4 Harp, but Abner Adorno is a New Jersey-based jockey, rides in the Mid-Atlantic. This is a big stage for him. I think he's just a dead send. And, at 5 furlongs, sometimes that half does make a difference with a horse trying to hold on. So I'm just betting that this horse is going to beat Coppola around, and I'm hoping holds on.
Look, I'm not going to criticize the pick at all. According to time form, Coppola is a bit faster. The one's also got some speed. Paul's, this is one of the situations where you'll know in the first 3 seconds, either he gets the lead or he doesn't. If he doesn't get the lead, he probably is not going to win. Do you think he actually maybe could sit off of Coppola's flank, and go by?
I think he's got to, I think especially being outside of Coppola, and as you point out, you make a good point, that being on the far outside is a little more of an issue at 5 than 5.5. But yeah, I think he's got to be at worst, head and head with him going to the turn. And I think he could be, because if you look at his, he set it at 21-4 last time, which is, that's racehorse time for a turf sprint.
That's quick. So Paul's going to go with 4 Harp, one of the speeds. Pete, you're going to go with the other speed, number 6 Coppola. Paul brings up some good points. I think the main question with Coppola, and I have in second, and I think is very logical here, Pete, is it the 5.5 that's given him problems recently? Is it the softer turf, or is he just regressing? There's actually 3 things that could be wrong. Despite that fact, I think he's going to be tough in this spot anyway.
Yeah, he's he's a horse that I generally, I feel like I get this horse wrong a lot, so that doesn't bode well for him being my top pick. But I do think if you look at it, in his last 5 furlong races, his last 5, he's won. So he won all 5, including one on the dirt, but he still has won all 5 at 5 furlongs. So if you think it's the extra half furlong that's been getting him. So the last 2 was a combination of factors. They were 5.5, which isn't necessarily his strength. They were grade 2s, which is, I think those fields were just better than this field, and they were on a little bit of a cut in the ground. So yeah, you don't know which one got him, but all 3 of them as a combination might have been too much. Here, I think if he can clear, and I think what you guys talked about with the 9 is perfectly valid, where if the 9 comes out and then it just heats up a bit and it sort of wears them both out. potentially. That's why I think I have a couple off the pace horses as well. But I think Coppola class wise and cutting back to the 5, I think he's a tough one, and I like the pickup of Rispoli if we're going to switch off the jockeys that he's had, which he's had some. He's been switching a lot. He gets a little Gaffleone, a little Franco, but he switches a lot. But I think the 5 helps him, and I think the class relief hopefully helps him and sort of gets him out of this funk.
He's definitely better going 5. He's also very good at Gulfstream. He wants it really firm. So I agree with both you and Paul. I think the 5 is more important to me on Saturday than the potentially softer ground. I just don't think he wants any piece of a race longer than 5. I don't really care where it is. So he's definitely vulnerable, especially if Paul's 4 harp, breaks well. I don't fully trust Coppola, which is why
he's no win play. He's definitely no win play.
No,
I would
not for me.
Not for me either. No.
Which is why I want to go with None Hudson. Guys, I've chased this horse a lot, and I've come to the conclusion he's just not like a grade 1 animal. But I see no reason why he can't win this race. I thought he ran well against a pretty tough field last time. McKeelan going 5.5. I think 5 is absolutely fine for him, and I'll tell you what, he just looks to sit a fantastic trip here. How can he handle softer ground? I mean, I don't know. He probably wants it firm, but we don't know exactly how the turf is going to be Saturday. I mean, it's not going to be firm, but they haven't been running on it, guys, all week. So it's going to be fresh, which means there aren't going to be a lot of divots, blah, 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 because they're not running on Friday on the turf either, right? So we got our guy Junior on there, Paul. I think we might get that 5-2. He's a borderline grade stakes. I just like the spot here a lot. And interestingly enough, how about that? We've all got the number 4 Witty in third. This is a board horse, as you guys like to say. I don't think he's quite as good as he used to be, but he's really the only true closer in a race. Gets Flavian. I mean, if it falls apart, which I wouldn't say is completely impossible, he has an outside shot, but he's going to a lot of things are have to happen for him to win, Paul, I would say.
Yeah, I looked at him as strictly a board horse, and I think you make good points on the 2, Howard. I like him better than 6. The more I look at the 6 as you guys were talking, and I understand I'm reaching with the 9, but boy, this 6 looks like a bet against for me. Rogue Lightning, I loved coming off the race 2 back, came back and ran horribly last weekend at Churchill. So, yeah, I would be going price-wise. I like you too, and I know obviously Pete has him second. You have him on top.
Yeah,
I would be going with the 2, but yeah, I think the 4 is picking up some pieces here late.
It's interesting. None of us have Determined Kingdom. We'll move on after this. Pete, I'd like to hear what you guys have to say, because Determined Kingdom, number 5 at 4-1, has run a bunch of races that are good enough. If he needed the last start, he's got a shot. I just think he was so bad in that race that maybe his better days are behind him. Is that how you felt? Because I'm going to use him very, very defensively. I have a feeling that he can't get back to what he did before, but maybe he will. I don't know.
Yeah, he was a tough one. You get the trainer change. One thing I didn't like is his last 3 of his last 4 wins. He does have 1 win where it came with Lasix, and he doesn't get it here. And there's 1 win with it. But I don't know. That just scares me a little bit. And I hate when the comeback race, especially he's a 6-year-old, and that comeback race was so bad that you worry that, and it was a long enough layoff where you could just sort of lose your form at that point. So I almost would just want to see it, especially if he winds up taking some money.
I agree. Let's go on to race the second leg of the all stakes pick 5 Saturday at Pimlico. It's the Sir Barton. This is a 3-year-old restricted race, $100,000, mile to 16th. We've seen some actually pretty good up and comers guys win this race. This is a nice little race. It's sort of like the Matt Wynn at Churchill coming up in a few weeks. It's for 3-year-olds that are starting to move up in class and have visions of being stake horses, or grade stake horses, I should say, throughout the 3-year-old year. And guys, there's so many derbies. You got the Indiana Derby, West Virginia. I mean, name a state, it's got a derby. There's plenty of ways to make money if you're a 2-turn 3-year-old boy or girl, but especially boy. Here's the field right there. Let's see our picks. I'm going to go 6-1-7. Paul is going 6-7-9, and Pete is going 8-6-1. It's a field of 9. The morning line favorite is the number 6 Invictus, Cox, and Flavian. This is a horse that I tipped out. I mean, it was nothing special. He was I think it went off like 8-5, but I really liked him at Keeneland last time, and I thought he ran very well. Obviously, all of us agree we've got him mixed, but let's go to Pete. You're going to go a little bit off the radar here with Authentic Gallop, 8-1 morning line, Amos and Carmouche to win the Sir Barton.
Yeah, this is. I agree with you. I think Invictus is Invictus looks on paper where if he stays where he is, then or even improves, then he's going to be tough to beat. But if you're going to beat him, and I thought there was enough speed in here to where I think Authentic Gallop, like both wins, if you look on the page, both wins that he has 2 back and then 4 back, he was able to sit off hot paces basically. And even 4 back, he was a little closer. I mean, he was still 3 lengths off, but he wasn't far off a hot pace. And I think here we have a potential for a hot pace again. So if we get that, and this horse can sort of revert back to that form, I think needs to maybe move forward a bit. But I'm just looking at, there you go. So time form is projecting a hot pace. You got 3 horses potentially contesting it, which, usually if it shows 2, it's a little iffy, but 3, at least hopefully 2 of them go. So I thought this one, if you can look at the last in the Virginia Derby, maybe that was just a little bit too long. The 1 1/8 and a little bit of class, and the 1 1/8 was just too much for him. Now he's cutting back again. And again, he's going to be able to, if he can work out that sort of second flight trip, I think at a price, I think he's got a good shot.
Yeah, look, this is a weird race, Paul, because as you know, I do look for closers in a race that's a hot pace. I mean, who doesn't? That's not like anything ingenious, but not Invictus, but ingenious. I couldn't find any real closers I could get attached to, so I sort of understand what Pete is saying, because it just doesn't feel like someone's going to win from out of the clouds. And because of that, Paul, you and I are just going to chalk out, or at least one of the reasons, with Invictus. And I'm going to show the replay. His first start was against Chancellor Patrick at Saratoga last summer. And we remember how difficult a maiden race that was. We've talked about that Saratoga race ad nauseum. Came off a long layoff at a very difficult 7 furlongs. What's clear to me, Paul, I'm just going to show the replay at Keeneland. You can talk over it. Is this horse is, of course, by Intimissus out of a alternation mare called Serengeti Empress. Really talented horse. It's pretty clear to me this horse wants 2 turns and longer. I think that's why Cox won 7 furlongs last month at Keeneland. And this was not the easiest race. There's some pretty good horses, and I like how he battled. I like how he battled in the lane off the pace here. He's in the WinStar White, Paul.
Yeah, my notes after watching this replay, Howard, is he was kind of being ridden throughout for a 7 furlong race.
I noticed that, Paul. That stuck out to me.
Yeah, wasn't it, Pete?
Right?
I actually wrote it on my PPs, being ridden throughout, and
I did the same thing.
That's tough. Great minds think alike, Pete. That's tough to do with 7, and I'm used to seeing that with Louis, not with Pratt, right? But none the worse for wear. As you said, Howard, that first race was obviously good. And I just think that was a pretty good effort last time. And this horse will move forward. And I do agree with you, Howard. I think the extra distance will be right up his alley. And yeah, I was Bob and I were watching that race, Howard, on the iPad driving from Cincinnati to Lexington. I'm happy to report. That was the Tuesday card that was the Saturday card.
Yes. I just feel like he's going to grind them down late, Paul, similar to what he did in that last race. There's no killers in here. I don't think he lays over this field at all. I'm actually going to spread a little bit in this race, but I do think he is the horse to beat. And I project a lot of upside here, and I just think he's going to improve a lot. A horse I'd like to talk about that I have second, that Pete has in third, is the number 1 Crudo. Now, this is a horse that looks slow on paper, guys. I don't like the 5-2 morning line, by the way. He was a very, very easy winner, going that 7 furlongs. It was a much slower time than Invictus. It was a weaker field. He just went to lead and dominated. My thought here, and I'm curious to hear what Pete has to say, is he can improve off that start also. And this is another horse that absolutely will love 2 turns. This horse is by Justified, a deputy minister mare, blossomed. The family is fantastic. He's a half. We've seen this in the PPs, guys. A half to awesome result who is a very, very talented, or sorry, foal actually, a full to awesome result, who's a very talented Japanese horse. Scythian Harbor is pretty nice as well. So I think this horse has major upside. It is a big step up. He's going to have to get a lot faster. But Pete, I think he's going to sit a great trip, and just another one that figures to improve. He's also coming off a bullet work at Saratoga. So as the Saratoga track has opened up, the training track, always good to see the Oklahoma training track open up, Paul, at Saratoga. But Pete, I think this horse is a threat as well. He will have to step up his game though.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think the thing that I liked was the work, like you mentioned, and the breeding, where I thought this horse is probably only going to improve as the distance gets a little longer. And I guess the funny thing with these lightly raced horses, and you notice it with Invictus and here, and I hate to always harp on it, but you have both races on Lasix. Now you're coming off. Invictus had a crappy race off Lasix and a great one on. Maybe that has nothing to do with it, but I just thought Crudo, I think, can move forward. Is it enough where if Invictus also moves forward, can he sort of catch him? Pletcher, by the way, 0 for his last 11 at Pimlico.
Wow, I'm sorry I didn't. I got a full screen. Lock of the weekend for Jackson Muniz.
All right, Jackson, preach, brother.
Actually,
I think
Jackson,
that's Invictus. I think.
Yeah,
Invictus.
Jackson, can you clarify if that's Invictus or
He means
Crudo?
Invictus. He means Invictus.
I'm assuming it's Invictus.
Because that was the
Yeah, I got to tell you, Howard.
Wow.
I mean, Crudo could be really good, but boy, could that have been an easier lead, slower paced
it was a
race?
Bad. Yeah, it was a bad look.
I mean, that doesn't. He could win here by 5, but boy, 24, 47, 112, and 3.
No doubt.
I mean, that's for a Keeneland maiden special. That was like
no doubt
hourglass slow.
No doubt. By the way, you talked about I think Pete, you were talking about harping on a horse. You don't mean for harping.
Oh,
that only Paul could.
I don't know, but that's good.
Anyway,
very good.
Him. I think this horse got big shot, guys.
I agree.
I really do. Paul, you do too. I love turnbacks. He's going to sit that authentic gallop trip, Pete. But my feeling is he's better than authentic gallop, and you could be right. I could be wrong. I just think he's faster. I like the turn back. He's more lightly raced. This one's interesting, Paul. And again, I think trip matters a lot here because authentic gallop and him figure to get the same setup, Paul.
I think when I went back and watched that last race, I think it's not that it looks bad on paper, but I think it's a little better than it looks on paper. That was a mile and an eighth, and this is a mile and a 16th. And if that last race had been a mile and a 16th, this horse is right there. He got caught late. You see, he barely got caught at the second last call, the stretch call, and then 2 lengths, but. He really, they got away from him literally like in the last 100 yards. So when I saw that, he gets Saez rides back. That was let's face it, that was a listed stakes race, and we're talking about horses coming off maidens. So that's an advantage for sure. So yeah, I would say I'm going to have this horse on my A line.
There's a lot of Invictus love out there, including from Matt Cuter, who is in the chat. Matt, congratulations on our boy Magistrate. And there's also, let's just bring this up too, guys. This was discussed on the Bet and Boozin show because they covered, on the Pacific Horse Players show. We have so many great shows. This week, they did the Pacific Horse Players last night, did the undercard for the Pimlico races this Saturday. And Adelphi Racing, guys, has a very talented, fast horse that they co-own with another group called 1900 in the Chick Lang. I think that's the 8 horse. So good luck to Adelphi Racing and Matt Cuter with 1900. Not only a great name, but a very fast horse in the Chick Lang. I like to say race 6. Maybe one of you guys can look that up on
8.
Saturday.
8.
I'm sorry, 8.
8.
Race 8. Okay, well there you go.
There you go. Right.
Noah Maurer wants to know. Matt Cuter, why don't you give Noah, who of course are wonderful host of Pacific Horse Players. Matt, if you want to comment in the chat to everyone listening and watching, your thoughts on 1900 in the Chick Lang 7-2 morning line. And by the way, Matt, no pressure. A spot play on the Power Picks tip sheet this Saturday. So good luck. Not biased, by the way. I like the horse quite a bit. So anyway, there's Matt's thoughts, prayers, and thumbs up. Okay, that's all we need to know.
We
Just
want to know in that order.
Yeah, which one is it, Matt? Is it thumbs up and then or is it thumbs up? I don't know. Good point, Paul. All right, guys, let's move on to the next race. I don't think Invictus is a single, not for me, but I do understand people that want to do it. He's just a little goofy, and I don't like goofy going 2 turns against a decent field. So, wow.
There you
You go.
Lock it up, everybody. Now the horse is going to be 2-5 now, unfortunately.
He'll be there, by the way, too, along with some other, I'm sure, Adelphi owners. So good luck to them. All right, let's go on to the next race, guys. Race number, what race is this? It's not that race. It's
11.
This race. Yes, the James Murphy Stakes. Race 11, $100,000 purse. Restricted 3-year-olds on the turf going a mile. Interesting race. Moorline favorite is the number 7, Reagan's Wit, for our girl, Cherie DeVoe and Jose Ortiz, and I believe West Point Thoroughbreds, if I remember correctly. Let's see where we're going here. I'm going 7-6-1. Paul's going 7-6-5. Pete's going 7-1-3. Wow, well, should we just go on to the next race, guys, and call it Reagan's Wit? I know our wonderful co-host of Bet and Boozin', Charlie Freeman, who is made his first jaunt to Europe with his family, left yesterday. So have fun there, Charlie. Has Reagan's Wit as his play of the day and lock of the day. So if you're a fan of Charlie or Bet and Boozin' or this horse, and he's a choice of all of ours, guys, I don't think we're getting 5-2 on him. He's not a lock for me at all, but I think he is the horse to beat, Paul. Let's talk about Reagan's Wit. Go ahead.
I just think the race sets up for him, doesn't it? I don't know if you want to show the time for him, but isn't this race going to be won by someone coming from behind? And isn't he logical to be coming from behind? Yeah, time for. Yeah, I know I had seen that. That was to kind of confirm what I thought, when I went there. But I think, Pete, I don't know what you think, including the graphic. I just think there's plenty of speed here.
Yeah,
and I just think this horse is going to be coming from behind. He was, having said that, he was too far behind last time. That was not Jose's finest moment, in my opinion. I just think he was just too far behind in that race at Keeneland. But I just think the race flow here sets up for him much better.
He was the 2 right here. I mean, he got a good trip. Losing a test score, these are better horses than he faced guys on Saturday. I don't know what it is, Pete. Like, I still didn't love it. Like, what's his excuse? Just the fact that he's too far back, or these horses are just better?
They're
better. Could be yes and yes.
Better.
I still would have liked to see a little more here. I don't know. I don't love his visual. He just seems to be clunking along. And maybe it's because the other ones are better, but this gives me a little bit of cause for pause. Maybe this feels just, right for the pickings.
Yeah, I didn't have any pause. He's a lone A for me in this race, so I just sort of like him, and I just think you lost to Zulu Kingdom and test score, who ran 1-2 in the American Turf. Next out, I agree with you. I would have liked to see more, and maybe you want to say was it the good going, but 3 back, he won by 8 on good going, so you don't know if it's that, although that could have just been circumstance in that race. But yeah, he didn't look great, but I do like the horses that were ahead of them, and I probably would like, I think, all of them in this race if they were in it. So when I look at it that way, I just didn't love anybody else. I think, like I said, he's a lone A. I think I might have him as my best bet when we get to it, not to spoil it. So yeah.
I don't mean to poke holes on a top choice of mine. I just didn't love a lot of others. I don't know. He also hasn't improved his buyer, guys. I don't like seeing 82, 81, 81. I mean, he's a solid horse. But, you go to the time form, and I've got the 6 and 2nd. We haven't showed a lot of time form yet tonight. Let's in terms of the final numbers here. You look at some of the competitors here. End of Romance, the 5 has a 103 top. The 6 has got a 111. If you believe in time form, the 6 can absolutely win this race. I've got him 2nd, and so do you, Paul. And Reagan's Wit has got, 111s, 107. This is obviously, for this field, is very good. I just don't like that he's not really improving. There's a bunch of horses here that are much slower. So I don't think you have to go very deep in here. I just want to make the point that everyone thinks Reagan's Wit is a single and a cinch. that the 6 has run just as fast as he has, and the 5 could improve. I think it's pretty much 6-7 for me. Let's go ahead and talk about the 6, Paul, because if the 6 can run back to that last race, at least according to time form, he's got a major shot. The number 6 horse here is Solil Volant for Graham Motion. Not only that, Paul, second off the layoff. I like his last race. I thought it was a tough field. I don't love the shorter rest, but for me, this is the only other logical one that could beat Reagan's Wit.
Yeah, and you pick up Pratt to boot with
Sure
Motion, and that's not that they don't team up all that often. But
was against Older too, by the way. You want to mention that his last race was against Older. These are restricted 3-year-olds at this time of year, Paul. I think that does matter.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I would agree with that, and I kind of felt the same way as you, Howard. That if he were going to get beat, that this was the way. And if I one more deep, I go to the other Motion. So those would be the only 3 I use in the race. The horse I like the most, and then the two Motions. I'm going to keep the other one in there as a B or a C as well. But yeah, I think this one, hasn't able to come back to that win after graduating at Delaware last August, but could actually trip out pretty well here, I think.
I agree. My Italian brother from another mother, Pete Visco. Pete, I feel so much better when either you or Paul has a bomb in there that I also have. And as I'm handicapping and putting my picks, I'm like, I really have this horse in third. Not only do I have this one in third, you've got Twain at 20-1, the one horse in second, Pete. So you and I sort of see the same thing. Look, if it's a little bit soft, the Kitten's Joys don't mind that. Okay, maybe the last field wasn't great, but I really like what I saw in the visual. I thought he closed really well. He's Animal Kingdom also on the dam side. Certainly capable enough rider. Costs $80,000. Again, this field is sort of meh to me. I don't think Twain's going to win, but at a monster price, I think Twain absolutely's got a shot to outrun his odds in this race, and you do also.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Again, this is sort of a leap of faith, but I thought that winning the debut at 5.5, I think that was sort of the anomaly, because this isn't a horse that I would look at and expect to win at 5.5, especially with the way.
Everyone.
Yeah, especially with the. I mean, this horse looked like he was just getting away. The 9 here, because I was watching the replay. I'm like, is the PPs right? Are they sure this one horse won this race? Because he's completely off the screen until super late, and obviously the 9 sort of slows down a bit and starts to get leg weary. But go ahead.
Can I interrupt you a second? This is a PSA, public service announcement, for all you future cameramen of horse racing. Can we please not do this?
That was the worst one right there.
Can we please not in the stretch show like the first 3 horses only and not pan out? Because this is completely, utterly ridiculous, Pete. Sorry to rip on your Laurel Park, but this is completely insane from a cameraman's standpoint. But go ahead. We'll see the 5 winning the race, obviously.
No, eventually. I know, but it's almost like you don't see the 5 till they're basically at the wire, the way this cameraman was going. And even the 10, you're like, oh, this 10's going to get there. And then this 5 is just, I just like that long stride. You look at the way that, yeah. And I was like, man, if you get a weird race here with a bunch of horses that aren't that great, and if the 7 is just sort of, runs with, sort of stays the same and doesn't move forward a bit, then again, maybe this horse doesn't win, but if we can get that price, I'll take an underneath, or, I don't know if I would like do a key box with this horse, because it might be a little unreliable. But I would definitely put it in there, and I'll have it on an AB. If I was doing an ABC ticket, I would have the 1 in there just for sort of shits and giggles, just in case.
I just, I like horses that can outrun their odds. I think Twain is one. I was going to show the time form real quick. I won't show it. I'll just tell you. Got a 91. Okay, and that's what, 20. Let's say 18 points off, just for mathematics' sake. 18 points going around a mile. So in theory, he's about 13, 14 lengths slower than the top 2. But horse like this can make up 4, 5, 6 lengths easily going 2 turns. I don't like I said, the horse is not going to win most likely, but you want to throw a bomb in there for second or third. We agree that
But if you look,
20
if you look
is
at your
interesting.
six, the six started the year with a 92, and that was after three
Yeah.
races already. So you can't compare it necessarily to where they are
I
currently,
agree.
since that was his first start.
I agree. Guys, the next race reminds me a little bit of the Churchill Downs
Woo!
Stakes from 2 weeks ago, which was a complete monster dirt race. And this race that we're going to talk about is not on dirt. But I'll tell you what, the Dinner Party Stakes, which we're going to bring up right now, which is the race before the Preakness, race 12, is an absolute wide open war of a grade 3, really fun race. A lot of ways to go. It's a monster field of 13 going a mile and eighth on the turf for $250,000. Like I said, it's a grade 3. And I'll tell you what, I just don't think you want to take a short price on anyone in here. There's Crabs and Beer, by the way, who we mentioned is 31 more line. The favorite, and I think I understand, is the number 13, Trickery. This is a very tough post. It's a very talented horse. I suppose I foolishly tried to uh, win with him last time at Keelan in the Maker's Mark Mile, but he was absolutely no match for Mr. Spackler. He ran well, but was a complete non-threat. I've got him second. Paul, you have him on top. Pete, you have him nowhere. So it's going to be very interesting to see what people say in the chat too and in the betting board for Trickery here, who I think is the most talented horse and has probably accomplished quite a bit, but in my opinion, not by a lot, and he's going to be a low price. So I'm going to let Paul first talk about Trickery, who is his top choice, 5-2. Paul, my question to you before you talk about Trickery, how low a price would you go on the win end with Trickery in this race? He's 5-2 more in line.
I would have a hard time playing him to win, to be honest with you, Howard. My pick, and I hate having the favorite in a race like this. Hate it. But if he's ridden, I think the way he's supposed to be ridden, which I think is more likely at this longer distance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't this race kind of the opposite of the race we were just talking about? I almost picked the 9, and I see, you picked the 8, who's a long shot. I was very close to picking the 9, and my notes here say dangerous if loose. I just think that if Johnny V rides aggressively here, which he kind of has to, doesn't he, from that post, that if this horse gets a trip where he's like third early or at the turn, I just think he's going to be tough. So my picking him was really based on how I think the race flow is going to be. I'm fairly sure of that, and then hoping that Johnny doesn't take him back to 6th again, as has been done the last 3 times, twice by Johnny, once by Manny.
What is confounding to me, Paul, about Trickery is, first of all, he's better than I thought. He had a really nice year last year, and that's sort of why I liked him in the Maker's Mark, and he ran just fine, but not nearly good enough. It seemed like once they taught him to sit and finish, he was better. So, although I do think he'd be better off in this race being up closer because of the pace scenario and because of the outside post, it sort of feels like it goes against what they've been trying to do with him, Paul. So, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I've just a little bit verklempt on how to ride him because of those two factors.
Well, he's got to be, he can't be toward the back of the pack like he was the last.
No,
time.
I think you'd like to see him just off the pace, and I think he might be more mid-pack, which I'm not sure that's going to be best for him in this situation.
I would agree.
It's trickery.
Yeah. It's tricky is correct. Yeah, and again, that's why I said I wouldn't probably, even at 5-2. I don't think, I'm not looking to bet. My win bet in the race, if he's double digits, will be the 9. Just looking for maybe stealing the thing.
Okay. The 9 is definitely interesting. I've got the 9 third, and you got the 9 second. Let's go to Pete's top pick. Pete is quite different than us here. He's got 3 or the top 2 that we don't have in our top 3 at all. So let's go to Mr. Visco here. He's going to go with the number 3 in this race, Signator. Very likable gray for Shug and West Point, who at right now is the very popular No Rider, who has
Yeah, I
been
like that.
mentioned
That's who
by
I like.
younger
Yeah,
guys.
well,
So
you save the weight there. So
you
you
do.
know you're saving a lot of weight.
What are you doing Saturday? You could maybe jump.
I
Well,
mean,
maybe not.
no. I mean, I don't want to kill the horse, the poor thing, if I put my fat ass on it. So no.
He's improving. My two questions are class and distance. Actually, I shouldn't have a distance question because he's gone long. I guess my question is class. He is improving and getting good at the right time and a price. Interesting. I've got him in the mix in my picks, just not top three.
Yeah, those were all the combinations. I always like a horse. I'm a sucker for a horse that switches something about them, and whether it's dirt to turf, turf to dirt, or distance or something like that. And they all of a sudden they sort of move forward. Now, if you look from a figure standpoint, he hasn't moved forward yet, but he's gotten on the turf. He's gotten some good paces to run into, which I don't know if that's the case here. I think there's some horses that want to be up close, but I don't know if we're going to get sort of a hot pace like he's gotten a little bit in the last two. But I'm just taking a shot in a race where I think the favorite's vulnerable, like you guys talked about. There's only been 3 races to this configuration, this meet, and the winners were in the 1 hole, the 2 hole, the 3 hole. So I don't know if the inside is where you want to be. So I just think this one at a price, but I had 5 sort of A contenders in this. So I'm sort of wide open. But I just think if this one moves forward, I mean, it was a $1.7 million purchase who's been in a couple of big races, but maybe has just found a new life and a new love on the turf. And if he does, and some, a little bit of hell breaks loose, I think he's got a shot.
There's people all over the chat. Dr. K likes Balnikov. Horsey Dave, the 5 is getting a lot of play in the chat right now. Ambrumar. Now, Ambrumar, guys, is cross-entered at Gulfstream, and I have not heard where they're going. I think the Ambrumar love from people in the chat is partially based on pace, where he just might wire the field. I don't think this horse is nearly fast enough or classy enough to win this race personally. But I respect people's opinion. I don't even know if he's going in this race anyway. I'm gonna just go on a limb and say that he's gonna be running at Gulfstream instead, but I actually don't know that for a fact. And I say that because I thought this field came up pretty tough for a grade 3. So and with the softer turf, I'm not sure he wants that either. So, but interesting with Amar, the 5. Guys, I went a little bit off the reservation here also. Similar thinking to what Pete said. And I'm gonna go with a horse, guys, that again, I love progressive 4-year-olds. This is a completely unexposed, relatively new turn 4-year-old, second off the layoff. Look at that buyer jump, guys, from 3 to 4. You got a 95 buyer, and I watched the race carefully. The number 8 Crystal Quest at 10 to 1. Look, it was Florida breds, and he did get a perfect trip. But Forever Super, guys, is a pretty darn good horse. I mean, Forever Super, has been in a lot of these open company stakes. Maybe he's not quite the same as he used to be, but I really like the way this horse did it visually. I'm just going to show the stretch run of Crystal Quest, the 8 from Tampa last time. Again, got a very good trip, and usually I'm against those kind of horses, but this looks like a horse that can definitely get the distance. He's tactical. He's the 1 here, and I really like what I saw in the final furlong. You see he's here. He's athletic enough to tip out, and it looks like he's not even like running hard yet. And right about now, when he really puts his head down, guys, look at the way he's striding out. He's just starting to get going here. He's a little bit goofy, but there's something about him that I like a lot. And I just like horses that are improving. I'm going to get a price. I know not everyone's a big fan of Paco. I get it. This is not like my play of the day or anything, but I want to go with a price here. And Paul, you sort of mentioned why. It's just a wide open field, and I respect Trickery. He's probably the horse to beat. I've also got Irish Aces in the mix. I think you brought us some great points, both you guys. The number 9, who I hope this one is forward for Rispoli, and it's got plenty of races on the go back. You got Fort Washington. I mean, this is an absolute spread race, boys, don't you think, in the pick 5?
That 8 was next up for me. I'm sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Pete's pick. I think we see this a lot. This is one of those races where I think you have to determine how much you liked or didn't like that Henry Clark at Laurel last time, because I believe there are 5 coming out of that race.
Good point.
I went back and watched it, and I decided to land on the not a fan of the race. Obviously, could be wrong. It happens multiple times a day, but I think you do have to kind of look at that race and decide.
I agree.
And, that's that. I just thought that was a factor here.
Well, I'm bringing it up, and Pete, that's the signatory race for Fulmineo, Neat, Desvio, Crabs and Beer. I'm not poo-pooing your pick, Pete, but I do agree that visually some of the races I thought looked better, at least to me.
Oh no, definitely. That's why I thought it's baked into the price a bit. Where I'm hoping this horse
No
either
doubt.
stays there or even floats up, because I think some of the others could take money. I mean, for me, if I'm playing a caveman pick 5 here, I'm using at least 5 in this race and going skinny elsewhere. Maybe even adding one more. I like your Crystal Quest though. The only thing it scared me about him, the 3 wins were all in State Bred company. That might be just so you need a little bit of improvement. But I love that jump up and the works were coming in, and I was like, I think that one, even the 2-back that ran 5th, I think maybe the 1 1/8 might be to that horse's liking. So I think that I like that pick. So
well, and people that want to crap on Crystal Quest are like, where'd that race come from? He's a newly turned 4-year-old, guys. He's improved.
Yeah, I love that.
Like
move.
I don't see him regressing way back down to something low. Now he might not win the race, but there's no reason why he can't at least pair up Pete what he just did if he gets the right trip and improves and blah blah blah. Anyway, one of the reasons why you can go deep in the penultimate leg of the pick 5 is because of the last race of the pick 5. It's the 150th running of the Preakness Stakes. We did a preview video, myself, Pete, Noah, and Kyle. Please check that out on our YouTube channel. It has almost 3,000 views right now. We just sent that out on Tuesday night. So guys, we're not going to talk, for 25 minutes about this race. I don't think we really need to. There's one big main question, one storyline in this race, and that is journalism coming back a little bit to the surprise of some and not waiting for the Belmont. He's 8-5 morning line. Let's take a look at the field for the 150th running of the Preakness Stakes. A field of 9. There's journalism, the number 2 at 8-5. You got some interesting other ones. Sandman coming back, also maybe a bit of a surprise from the Derby. American Promise for the coach, who's going to show speed, also back from the Derby. And then you got some fresh faces, including a horse that I loved on Derby Day, Goal Oriented, the only Baffert entry from the rail, and then a talented Asmussen runner, Clever again, the number 8. You got Gosker, the 9, and then you have some other long shots. Let's see, gentlemen, where we are going in the Preakness Stakes. Of course, Pete, you were on the show also with me. I apologize. I don't know if I said your name or not.
You did. No, you did.
Okay, so people know my picks and Pete's picks if you watch that show. We don't know Paul's picks. Here we go. I'm going 8-7 in the Preakness. Paul, I love it, Paul. He is going 8-1. Pete's going 2-9-8. 2 of the 3 of us are not picking journalism. Here comes the hate. Here comes the poo-poo, Pete and Paul. Just have it thrown at us. Well, not at you, Pete, but at Paul and I. Paul, I'm sure that's the same poo-poo that was thrown at us for going against Torpedo Anna, who, of course, was a lock in that race too, right? Anyway, I digress. Sorry, Grizzly Bear fans. Let's first talk about journalism, Pete. Clearly the horse to beat. He's feeling great, apparently. We've heard this story a lot. If he runs his race, he's probably going to win. It's never easy to come back off of 2 weeks. And there's some interesting fresh faces in here. To me, either he wins by 3 or 4, or, he maybe doesn't finish in 2nd or 3rd. I just feel like he's either definitely going to win or he's just not going to run his race.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I agree. That's not the way I think about it. This race,
Sure.
I figure he'll run his race, and maybe somebody else just gets up and beats him, and maybe he doesn't run his A+ race. But he's the kind of horse where you figure McCarthy's not going to run him back in 2 weeks if he doesn't think he's ready. And by his quotes, I mean, I don't usually read the trainer quotes much, but I happened to read an article, and it just seemed like the horse was telling him he's still ready to run. And if he is, he's right now just better than everybody in this race and more proven. And it's not like he ran poorly in the Derby. He ran a winning race. He just got beat by a better horse who got a better trip on that day. But he's the kind of horse, he's not a single for me by any stretch. I would play a couple, again, if I'm playing a caveman, I'm playing a couple other horses in here as well. But I think at least logically, you can't leave him off, and he looks like the most logical winner.
Yeah,
And he's going to get he gets the trip. There's enough speed in front of him that he could sit off. Even if they don't heat up, I think he's still good enough to just sit off and get in the clear a little cleaner than he did in the Derby. Sorry, I cut you off there, but
No, I'm just putting a bunch of comments there in the chat. People have strong opinions. By the way, Mark Flanagan, love that you're joining the show. Do me a favor, Mark. Do not try box those 3 horses because the 2 is going to be much lower than the 1 and the 8. So we can have a talk about that later. But I know that's an easier bet to make, Mark. But you really should weigh heavily more on the 2 on top. So if you want to go like 218, 281, but play that for more dollars, Mark, than 128 or 182 or the 8 winning, simply because it's going to pay a lot less if journalism's on top. Just a little suggestion for you, Mark. But definitely those are 3 horses that have a big shot. Look, Paul, I'm not afraid to go against a heavy, moto horse in a big race. I've been doing it all spring, and frankly, I've had some success doing it not only this spring but in future years. Journalism definitely the horse to beat. To say anything otherwise is a bit silly. Clever Again, who's a horse that Matt Bernier and I have been talking about for quite a while, but especially Matt, who went out on a limb several months ago after he won his comeback race there in February at Oaklawn and said, "This is my Preakness horse." He said that in February. And I have a future on him. Looks like a few other people have a future on him at 15-1. He's going to be 3 times less that price. There's 2 things, Paul. He might have to rate, maybe. Number 1. Number 2, he's got to get the distance. This is a Pharaoh out of a Galileo mare. This is an absolutely fascinating horse. And if it is wet, which I don't anticipate it will be, if it is, he actually might move up on that. Jose decides to ride here instead of Sandman. That means a lot to me, Paul. There's a lot to like about Clever Again. However, there are questions.
Yeah, and I don't know how, and I pay a lot of attention to the jockey stuff, but Sandman they were not talking about this race until, whatever.
Exactly.
Very recently,
Right.
It's not a surprise, obviously, the journalism. It might be a mild surprise. I thought he might wait to the Belmont, but I don't think there was much talk at all about Sandman until last weekend. So
yeah.
I just think my guess is it was a case that Jose was booked to. This horse has been pointing for this race since Oaklawn, the race you're about to show. Now, is he going to go wire to wire in this race? Probably not, but, he has to stretch out, but he was just fine at a mile at 16th. And if you watch him finish this mile, this is the mile race, I assume you're showing, he's clearly extending. The price is going to be right. I'm not so sure we're going to get 5-1 on him, Howard. I've heard a lot of people talking about him. But I just think I'm a lot less confident than I was in trying to beat journalism in the Derby. I was pretty sure I was beating him in the Derby, to be honest with you. I'm not, this is not an after the fact redlining or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I like Sovereignty a lot, but
you did.
If you want to try to take it to beat him, for all the reasons that they're not running Sovereignty, which is the short rest off a tough race, which becomes even tougher with the track condition, and the fact that every one of those horses is pointing to that one race for months. Okay, people don't say, well, let's look at the Triple Crown as a 5-week sequence and we'll prepare the horses accordingly. No, it's to win the damn Kentucky Derby. That is everyone's. You heard the Godolphin people. They basically said they really didn't even talk about the Preakness as a possibility until after the Derby. So, look, I agree with what you guys. He's clearly the horse to beat. He's going to be 4-5. He's not going to be 8-5. Sorry, Laurel Linemaker. He's going to be 4-5. And if you want to take a shot to beat him, I think, today's the day. I think he just keeps getting better. I think he's a very good horse. I hear what Pete says, and I've heard a lot about that. Let's just not be confused. He may have, you could say Sovereignty had a totally trouble-free trip. There's not a 1% chance he was the better horse in the Kentucky Derby. So let's just be clear on that. Trip, weather, track, whatever. He might be the better horse the next time they run. But 100%, not 99, Sovereignty was the better horse in the Kentucky Derby and beat him. Having said that, I think this is a damn good racehorse. Son of Curlin, who won the Preakness. Howard, we got a son of American Pharaoh who won the Preakness. So, we're speculating, and I think obviously ours is based on the price. I don't know what you got him. I did bet him in the last Preakness future. I think I got him at 13-1, maybe. So
Clever Again is 15-1 in the future.
Oh,
That's
then
what it closed
right.
at. We all get the same price, so it's 15-1. Yeah.
Well, that's even better. So yeah. Again, is journalism going to win? Probably, but I'm going to take a shot to beat him. That's all.
I might be nitpicking, Pete, but is it possible journalism is slightly distance compromised? I mean, I don't think they're going to go to the Belmont. I'm just going to call it right now. No matter if he wins or loses, my gut feeling is he's not going to go to the Belmont. I'm not saying he, is a miler, but look, his best race was on a fast track at Santa Anita, mile 16th. And the Santa Anita Derby, I know a little bit of trouble, but, he got a 102. And in the Derby, he was going well, but, I mean, he did get passed late. Maybe I'm just nitpicking, but I'm feeling a mile and eighth is really journalism's best distance. This is a 16th of a mile longer than that. Also.
Well, if you look, you're looking there and you see the sort of the time form late pace, that 124. So you had the 116 in the Derby. So he's decreasing as the distances got longer. He's decreased there. His time form, like his buyers decreased and they were the same the last two, but his time form has actually decreased the last three well. You see 121, 119, 117. So if you're looking at that and you're saying maybe he's going to, if he dips back just a little bit again, then he's primed for the taking. And I agree. That's why he's not a single to me. But I still think he's not a horse I'm comfortable leaving off. I don't look at him and think, oh, he's definitely getting beat here. But I look at him as, I think he's vulnerable. But I do think, like with your horse, the 8, my worry is, we always say, can he rate? And we think he can rate. We'd like him to rate, but he hasn't rated yet. And he's won both on the lead. He sat off in his debut, kind of, and he couldn't pass the horse, but that's a good horse. But still, I always worry about we're going to rate when we haven't yet, especially against the best field you're doing it against.
Let me give everyone a reason why I think he can rate, Pete. And you and I, all three of us watched thousands of races in our handicapping career. He's not really being asked early, Pete and Paul. He just naturally is that fast. So when a horse has to ask to get to the front, then I wonder, maybe he's a need to lead type. He's just been so much better than everyone else. Sort of the way like Pharaoh was. Like Pharaoh was never like really sent hard. He was just that fast. That's how I feel about Clever Again. I'm not saying he's Pharaoh. I'm just, you know what I'm saying, guys? Like she's naturally that fast.
Well, it is his
and
papa.
He looks very comfortable in the bridle. Like he's not rank. He settles. Like I just like everything about him. Gosker is a horse that's inching, Pete. 20-1. You have him in second for Walsh and Saez. Won the Lexington. Definitely wants distance with Tappet on the dam side and Gloria S, who is actually at Harvey's Little Goyle. There's actually some turf in this family and dirt, but there's definitely distance. If there's a horse that I have the least concerns on this race doing well at this distance, it's Gosker. The question is he just fast enough to win? But he's interesting underneath for sure for me.
Yeah, he concerns me on the win end, but I looked at it as if journalism sits off and gets a nice trip and wins the race, and if Clever Again and American Promise, we haven't talked about yet, and River Thames are sort of, in the mix on the lead, and it just softens them up a bit, and they do get a little leg weary going that extra distance, I think Gosker can sit off, and Gosker's got a nice Tomlinson on the wet, so even if it's a little bit wet, I think he's more of a, like we always joke, a clunk up on here for second, where I think at that price, I think he can hit the board. I don't look at him as a huge win candidate. I would prefer your 8 if I was thinking of someone to beat journalism.
Very quickly, we do have to mention other horses, and we have a show at 9:30, great race plays, and so we do need to move along here with our show tonight. I don't like Sandman in this race. I think he's gonna it's clunk up again. I just don't. He has one number that's even remotely good enough to win. I think he's going to be overbet again. None of it. I have Sandman third only because I think he could pass tiring horses late, but none of us really like Sandman. River Thames getting some love in the chat. I just don't think he's a distance horse, guys. I know he ran, okay at Keeneland, but that was a slow final quarter, and he got a perfect trip. And these Gulfstream speed horses don't do it for me in general. And I talked about this, guys. That's why I like Sovereignty so much in the Derby. I give extra credit, Mage, it's such a horse that can close at Gulfstream. But Pletcher doesn't send to Pimlico very often, guys, at all for this race. So you got to give River Thames some respect, but none of us really like him in this race. Maybe we're wrong. I thought I'd like American Promise. The more I think about it, guys, I don't. This is not, I don't see a scenario from last year where Seize the Gray wins. This horse has one good race and it's not even good enough to win this race, in my opinion. So I'm against American Promise. And the horse I'm like against maybe the most in this race is a horse I loved 2 weeks ago, Goal Oriented. And Paul, I'll let you have the final say. You've got him third. To come back in 2 weeks, this just feels like Bob wants to have a runner in here. And his 3-0's been disappointing this spring. I know he's talented, but from the rail, getting pressed on with other speed, coming back in 2 weeks, too slow on the numbers. I hope this horse takes a lot of money. I don't like Goal Oriented at all. Tell me why I could be wrong, Paul.
Yeah, I think that's an overreaction. I don't think visually he was all that impressive last time, especially for a 7-5 shot. But I don't think. I mean, is Baffert at the point? I could see him needing to have a runner in the Derby because it was after his 3-year sabbatical, and he worked this horse in between. I mean, that tells you something, doesn't it, about how this horse is doing? You know what I mean?
Bob likes to work his horses in general. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I mean, on 2 weeks off 2 lifetime starts. I don't know. I'm going to have this horse as a B. 2 for 2. Okay. My friend Edgar Cartato, they ain't beat him yet. What makes you think they're going to beat him? I know it's a tough race, but I don't. I don't know, Pete. But I don't know what you think, Pete. I would not be tossing this horse.
Yeah, I'm confused by him because I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, I think from the rail, does he go? And Pratt's not the type to get into some sort of duel with American Promise and the aide who's Clever, who I'm blanking on. Thank you, Clever again. So I don't know what he's going to do, but I mean, in his debut, at least he showed he can sit off and pass horses, which is nice. So I hate leaving Pratt off a ticket. I hate you close the pick 5 and you get everything else right and you get some good opinions in, and then Pratt beats you, and that pisses me off to no end. But especially like a Pratt Baffert. But I wonder if they were like, we'll put him in, and if journalism doesn't go, the race is wide open. And then journalism goes and they just keep him in, kind of thing. Yeah. Who the hell knows? Yeah.
I don't know about those of you listening and watching at home, but boy, do I hope Baffert and Sandman take a lot of money and boost up my exacta with Clever again. I have a weird feeling that's not going to happen, but I hope it does happen because I don't like Sandman or Goal Oriented at all on the win end, or maybe even in second in this race. Paul, look like you want to say something. We got to show our best bets and finish the show.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the 4 underneath in this race. The horse coming in from the UAE.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Heart of honor.
Jamie Osborne's fairly sharp. Now look, he got beat by Admire Daytona, who just finished the Derby Monday night, I think. But this horse might be okay, and he's looked good on the little I've seen in the morning. On not like the Derby where you get up every day for 2 weeks, but I think this horse has a shot, and they may go on to the Belmont with him.
Interesting. Let's go to our best bets. Paul, race 9 has a win on the number 9, which is 4 Harp. Thank you.
Price is right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
I just said the price will be right there.
Okay. And then the dinner party, race 12, daily double 9-13. That's Irish Aces and Trickery into Clever again. That's a nice double, Paul. That is going to pay. I like your thinking there. Pete is going to go. Yeah, sorry, Paul. I just wanted to move things. I don't mean to step it on your toes. Pete, race. Or maybe I do. Pete's going in race 11.
You just got stolen. Hey, he's gonna hit you with the ruler on the hand soon, Paul.
My uncle doesn't love me anymore.
Like in Catholic school, like in our old Catholic school days back in the day. Go ahead, Howard. Read the winners off real quick.
Paul,
we don't want to miss
finish your thought, Paul. Please. Please finish your thought, Paul, if you have one.
No, I don't. No, I'm fine.
He doesn't remember it. He's so traumatized by you
Yes, Pete.
yelling at
Thank
him.
you,
He
Pete.
doesn't remember
You
what
would
his.
never, Pete. You never do that to me when you host the show.
I mean, it's a lot nicer and cordial when I'm hosting.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, give Pete's goddamn best bet, will you?
yeah, give the winners out.
Give the
At
winners.
this point, Great Race Plays will start at 11 p.m. Eastern. Race 11, you're going with the 7 Reagan's Wit in race 11, and then a
Yep.
Dutch Exacta, 2 with 8-9, bigger one, the smaller one, 8-9 with 2. And Mark, that's what we're talking about. Pete's going to play a bigger Exacta with journalism on top as opposed to the other ones, which is definitely the right way to go from an economic standpoint. My best bets go to race 12, the dinner party. I want to see what Crystal Quest can do. I'm very interested in him. Maybe too much to ask on the win end, the number 8, but I'm going to use him in the old reverse trikey, guys. Unfortunately, it's going to cost me a little money because there's a lot of ways to go in that race, but that try is going to pay.
That's a good try race,
unless Trickery wins at 9-5, that trifecta is absolutely going to pay. It'll be one of the better payouts of the day, I predict. And then I'm going to Dutch the Exacta, Clever again, and journalism. Again, Dutch means I'll play more 2-8 than 8-2. I don't like anyone else in that race to win. I will be, I shouldn't say surprised. I'll be disappointed with myself if anyone wins that race other than journalism and Clever again. I just don't see it. Either Clever again wires the field or is just really good, or journalism is just a lot better than everyone else, and that's where I'm going. Paul Hallen, you have a quick rant of the night to discuss right now, and then we will end the show. I'm not going to put up the icon, but Paul, the floor is yours, sir, for our rant of the week.
And the danger is beating the dead horse because we've now heard all so much about this timing. My feeling on the spacing of the Triple Crown races is very simple. I don't think you have to like the idea of changing the schedule. I think it's crazy not to acknowledge that it has to be done. I don't like the idea. I wish Sovereignty were running. Everyone, I know the Derby's always been important, but it seems like that it's months and months and months. And as I said to someone on the phone the other day, as we were going back and forth on this, give me another time in the year where you see these grade 1 horses come back on 2 weeks rest. They just don't do it. I wish they did. Mott's not afraid to. We know that Mott runs his horses. It's, again, hate it, but let's get it done and let's get a better series. That's all. It's not just about the Derby winner. It's about how many come out. Now, we look like we're getting 1, and we got lucky and we're getting 3 out of 19. Okay. 15, less than 15%. So again, I don't like it as much as the next person. I think you're in the rotary phone ages if you think we shouldn't change it.
I'll put in my 2 cents. This is always talked about this time of year. I do find interesting that when everyone's saying, "Oh, no one's going to the Preakness and we got to change it," all of a sudden we do have 3 runners coming back. But Paul, I'm totally with you. And Pete, I don't know how you felt over the years, but I've been very much old school on this topic. I've been saying for years it shouldn't change. Just like Tom Hanks said in A League of Their Own, it's the hard that makes it great. But you know what? It's got to change. Times are changing. We've got to make a change to the Triple Crown schedule. It needs to be done. I don't know how the hell it's going to happen or when, but there needs to be more horses running in the second leg of the Triple Crown. It just, this 2-week turnaround, Pete, just is not doing it in this modern age anymore.
Yeah, the only problem is it takes a lot of coordination to do this with schedules, and we have a sport where nothing is coordinated well, and nobody communicates. So I think that's the hardest part, is getting everyone's heads together to say, okay, let's figure out a system that works for everyone and works for the schedule. But I do think my last point will be, if you did stretch it out a bit, maybe you get 3 really, really, really good races, so it still stays tough to win all 3 of them, as opposed to sometimes the second leg becomes sort of a layup, and then you have to go to the Belmont, and maybe then we get 3 really good fields. Can I say one more personal thing before we close off? I'll make it quick. Saturday, my 17th anniversary with my lovely bride. And we got married 17 years ago on Preakness Day. So it doesn't always fall Preakness Day. This year it does. We got married, in our cocktail hour, we watched Big Brown. They wheeled in an old school tube TV, Paul. Old school tube, like it did in 6th grade when you had it wheeled in. We watched Big Brown win the race. I went to Laurel for a few beers that morning before the ceremony. we watch Big Brown. So, happy anniversary. She doesn't watch the show, but happy anniversary to my lovely wife, Jess, anyway.
But what is Jess doing? I mean, why not?
400 episodes in, she's like, yeah, I think I'm done listening to horse racing. I hear enough of you complaining about how you lost your pick 5 after the fact. So she doesn't need to hear it in advance.
Or maybe a superfecta that you couldn't get in, if that's ever happened before. I don't. Anyway.
Yeah, Derby Day. I clicked the button and they were like, no, they broke from the gate. So fantastic. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for the congratulations. Yeah. I appreciate it.
It's going to be a great weekend. Of course, starts the Black Eyed Susan Day tomorrow. They're off the turf Friday, but Saturday, everything's going to be great. It's going to be a fantastic day of racing. For my wonderful co-hosts, Pete Visco and Paul Hallen, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 408 of Picks and Ponies. We've had hundreds and hundreds of people watching tonight. Please spread the word about the HHH Racing Podcast. And in 15 minutes, 9:30 Eastern, Great Race Plays, the late pick 4 Sunday at Santa Anita with Pete and myself. Crush your bets on Preakness Day this Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing Podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.